Hey guys, my name is Gabby, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing a tag, and that is called the Thank You Next book tag. This was created by This Story Ain't Over, and I'll put the link in the description for her video, and it was super cute, so you should go watch it. This tag is based off of Ariana Grande's new sassy as shit song called Thank You Next. I've always been like a mild fan of Ariana Grande, you know, like I'm not like a huge fan of her, but I think that this song is really great and really sassy and fierce and just like powerful. So I really enjoy when artists can put out music that's like a statement, you know, and I really like this song. I really do think the questions for this are perfect and just so cute for a book tag. Let's just jump right into the questions. So the first one is name a book that you said thank you next to DNF'd. So my most recent DNF is Fight or Flight by Samantha Young. Can't stand either of these characters. Like they're probably some of the most like privileged, ridiculous, over-the-top, cringy characters ever to exist ever. Literally, the way that they meet is by cutting each other off in line to get the last first-class seat. You know, just being high maintenance and ridiculous, and oh my god, and how many times does she refer to him as a Viking? He has a Scottish accent, and so all of the words are written in a way that would sound like he has a Scottish accent instead of the actual way that they're spelt. And just, oh my god, there are so many things that I disliked about this book, so I DNF'd. Did not want to continue. Thank you, next. Alright, so the second question says you can answer the next 3 questions together or separately with completely different books. So the third one says name a book that taught you love, or a book that you absolutely loved. So I have a lot of answers for this, but one of the first books that I absolutely fell in love with when I first started my Instagram back in 2014 was Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. This is a book that I just continue to love. I was able to reread it this year and it just reminded me how much I freaking love this book. But this book also just like teaches me so many things about life, and it just really puts things into perspective, and the writing is just so beautiful, and there's just so much to love about this book, so I chose this one. Right, the next question says name a book that taught you patience. And so for that, I'm gonna go with A Little Life by Hanya Uehara, only because like this is one of my favorite books of all time, but it is also one of the longest books I've ever read. It's 814 pages. So this book definitely taught me patience because it took me about a week to get through this whole book, and I'm the kind of person who really likes to read a whole book in a day. I usually only read a book in 1 or 2 sittings, and doing more than 3 sittings, it's like rare for me to do more than 3 sittings of the same book. And for this book, I had to do like 5 or 6 sittings to get through this whole thing. It definitely taught me patience because it was well worth like taking all that time to read this book. This is one of my favorite books of all time, and these characters will stay with me forever. The next question says name a book that taught you pain, and for that I'm gonna go with The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay because this is a thriller horror novel that taught me pain. Like I felt like I was in physical pain while I read this book because I had so much anxiety. This story just gives me so much anxiety, so I just felt like I was like this whole book. And this book definitely taught me about pain too because of the experiences that these characters have to go through in this book. Like I can't even imagine being put in a situation like this. Oh my god, just everything about this book just makes me like Alright, the next question says name a book that you loved at the time of reading but in hindsight you do not like as much anymore. I think I'm gonna have to go with Landline by Rowell for that because this one, I got an arc of this one when it first came out in 2014, I believe. Yeah. And then I loved it when I first read this book. Like it was one of my favorites. But then as I started reading more and more, because you know 2014 was my first year of like reading a ton, and then I reread this book either last year or the year before, and I just didn't love it as much as I did the first time. And I don't know if that's just because like I've gotten exposed to so many more new books that like coming back to this one I didn't end up liking it as much as I did the first time again. I don't know, like I still really think that this book is sweet and cute, but it just wasn't as like profound as I remember it being the first time I read it. Alright, number 7 says name a book that you're currently talking to or that you have the hots for. Well, I guess a book that I'm currently talking to is The Broken Girls by Simone St. James because I'm currently reading this and I'm about 140 pages of the way through and I'm really enjoying this book. But a book that I have the hots for right now is The Nightingale by Kristen Hannah because I'm so eager to get to this book, and I'm thinking that I hope I can get to this either before the end of November or like the first thing in December, but I am reading this goddamn book in the next few weeks. I am. Alright, and the last question says, name the book that gone last, the book of you, the book that helped you love yourself a little bit more. For that I have 2 answers, and that is Fangirl and We Are the Ants. And We Are the Ants I said because this one I feel like is my favorite book of all time, so this is like my go-to answer. This book did remind me that optimism is really beautiful and that it's important to be optimistic sometimes in bad situations, and I know that I'm typically more of a pessimistic person in my life, but this book makes me feel more hopeful and makes me want to be more optimistic, so this book really inspired me in my life. And then I said Fangirl because this book helped me learn a lot about myself because I identified with Kath so much as a main character, and I've never felt more connected to a main character than I do to Kath. Like, she just understands me, and I just really adore this book, and this is always one that I love rereading because I feel right at home when I read this book. So yeah, that is all for this tag. The next question is to tag some people, so if you're watching this video, consider yourself tagged. You are tagged. Go and do this tag. It's super cute. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you guys with a new video soon.